Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to talk about intervals of increase and decrease. Now, this is nothing new from what we talked about in Algebra 1. In Algebra 1, we talked about the period of the graph or the point of the section of the graph that's increasing from left to right, and we're going to talk about the section that's decreasing from left to right. This was part of our vocabulary that we worked on earlier, and so now we're actually going to apply those terms. So let's start off. On the left side of our graph, this is always, we're talking about on the left side of our graph, the left side of the x-axis is what we're going to refer to as negative infinity, okay? The right side of our graph, we're going to call that positive infinity. And remember, we're always going from left to right. So this is where we start, and essentially this is where we end. We're going to start on the left side and then move to the right side, and we're going to talk about the x values only. Even though we're talking about going up and down, we're talking about the x values where the graph is moving, is decreasing versus where it's increasing. So if we start on the left side of our graph, we notice that the graph, and I'm going to trace it with my pencil, and basically, if you notice, my pencil is going down. Going down, 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 down. So just follow my pencil, follow my pencil, follow my pencil. And it stops decreasing at this point right here. Now, this is what we were calling our vertex. Now, in this case, it's a minimum because it looks like a U. We'll talk about one where there's a maximum, but right now, this is our vertex. Remember, I told you it was also called a turning point, which we'll talk about more of that in polynomials. So on the other side of our vertex, you see our graph is going up. It's going up, 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 up. And again, I apologize for my crooked line, but basically, guys, we're going up. So the left side was going down, and the right side was going up. So what I want you to do whenever you're doing graphs like this, I want you to write on the side that's decreasing, I want you to write decrease. And the side that's increasing or going up, I want you to write increase. Now, this is going to be very important not only for this unit, but also when we get into graphing polynomials in our next unit. All right. So now we've defined the parts where the graph is going down and where it's going up as we move from the left side to the right side. Now, to document this, what we're going to do is we're going to write decrease. And this is the notation we're going to use. Remember, I told you on the left side of the graph, this is negative infinity. So that's what we're going to start with. So we're going to do parentheses, negative infinity, okay? The part where it stops decreasing is going to be the x part of our vertex. So that's why it's very important you identify your vertex, or in this case, minimum. So you're going to say negative infinity, then negative 1. And then we're going to do a bracket. The reason why we do a bracket, guys, is that when we do an infinity, we always use parentheses. And again, when we're using a whole number or a decimal, we're going to use a bracket. And the reason we do this, infinity keeps going on and on and on, whereas a whole number or a bracket, that's going to be our stopping point. You know, it doesn't technically keep going on at that point. All right, so that was our decrease. So what happens when we get to negative 1 on the x-axis? So again, I'll draw an arrow here. This is the part where I'm talking about. This is negative 1 on the x-axis. So this is negative 1. All right, so what happens at that point is we start going up. So we're going to say increase. Okay, and for increase, since we started at negative 1, that's on the x-axis, we're going to put a bracket here and put negative 1, comma, positive infinity. Now you have to pardon my infinity sign here, guys. But again, I told you guys I'm not an artist, so I'm not expecting you guys to be an artist. And then we'll do a parentheses here. All right. And that's all there is to increase and decrease. For quadratics, guys, there will only be one increase and one decrease. Now, again, once you have a decrease, the next part of it's got to be increase. And then in the next example, we're not going to, it'll be a little flip-flopped or a little rearranged. All right? So that's it for part 1. So stay tuned for part 2.